Next, we're going to create some reference grids at level 1 and level 2. That's going to be where the base of our column is going to be supporting and the midpoint of the column. So we want to kind of delineate those spaces so that we can place our what's going to be an adaptive column. So I'm going to rotate to the top. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to set a working plane. So I also want you to pay attention to what's highlighted here when I'm touching some of these controls. Just note when I set this, I have a choice of setting a working plane or picking a plane sometimes. So there's some drop downs, but generally I'll just pick the set. There is drawing on a reference grid or work plane, and then drawing on the face of an object. Sometimes one of these will be highlighted. So if you're not getting the same kind of effects, it might be that you have a different setting. So pay particular attention to these kind of constructors. Anyway, sorry for the little detour, or I hope it was helpful. And I grab set, and I'm grabbing that reference level, and I'm selecting it. And then I'm going to rotate to the top view here. I grab my modify tool, I'm going to rotate to the top, and I'm going to create a reference grid. So I'm going to grab the rectangle tool, setting it on reference, and now I'm going to draw from one corner to the next. Oops, I screwed up, so I'll do Control Z to undo it, and I'll try that one more time. Touching on the corners. And the corners there, and that's complete. And so now we'll just take another look at that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab that whole reference plane that we created, or rectangle, and I'm going to create a form. It's actually a rectangle, and I'm going to create a solid form from it. And I have rendering, there we go. And now, while it's highlighted, I don't really want a thick object, I want a planar surface. So while it's highlighted, if I hit delete, it will flip down to a planar surface. So I want to roll over now until I'm no longer grabbing the reference lines, but I'm grabbing the plane itself. And I want to do a couple things. I want to divide the surface off, and it's going to make a 12 by 12 grid, which is a little bit too intense. So I'm going to make it 6 by 6. And I'm going to do one more thing to that grid. So I'm going to grab it again, and I'm going to go over here to surface representation up on the top, and I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to highlight the nodes. And we're doing that because that's the points where we're going to connect our adaptive column to support our space frame. So that's our first grid system. I'm now going to make the same identical grid system the next level up. So I'm going to set my next working level at level 2. And I'll just rotate onto the top for easy drawing construction. And I'll just rotate it so it's in the right orientation. And we're going to go ahead and once again make a reference rectangle. And I'll rotate around, and I'll grab those reference lines. We're going to go ahead again and create a solid form. And I'm getting an indicator. Sometimes this shows off the screen, so it looks like I have a choice. This doesn't always show on the screen, so you can either let it extrude out and hit delete, or probably just hit the planar one. In some previous times I've gone through that, that wasn't showing up. So I'm going to once again grab the grid and divide the surface. Change that to 6 by 6, and make sure that I go to surface representation and highlight the nodes. And now next we'll look at creating our curved roof surface.